Hey guys, it's Danny. Today we're gonna make some orchid updates. There are a few orchids which I really wanted to show. There are also some orchids which you guys wanted to see. So we're gonna take a look at some stuff that we did not see in a long time and probably many of you don't even know because they're just so old. And I do believe there are a few already named in the title. What I want to start with is actually one of the most exciting developments, even though very improbable, but hey, a girl can dream. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So here's a little orchid which might not say much. It doesn't really look like much, but it is quite a special orchid, trust me. This is an Esmeralda cathcarti. It is a species and it's pretty rare. I've been wanting this orchid for a lot of time, but finding a mature one is very hard, and I'm pretty sure that it would be very expensive as well. I did manage to find a seedling earlier this year, I believe. But like most other orchids, this one is a very slow grower. So ever since I purchased it, it only grew or started to grow this new leaf. I don't even remember if the leaf was already started when I purchased it or it wasn't there, but this is pretty much what I have to show for in 8 months or something like that, which is not a lot. Root-wise, not a whole lot yet again. I do have a root which grew outside of the pot, but I don't see the roots just pushing on the edges of the pot. So very slow growth overall. But yesterday I did notice something on this orchid, and today I noticed it developed a little bit more. So for this, I need to get you in very close. Do you notice something on the stem of the orchid? Oh, P.S. It's a monopodial orchid, it's not sympodial. This, right here. It looks like something wants to grow and pierce through that leaf, right? Let me just get you in even closer. Let's see if this camera can focus. Oh my goodness, that's a good lens. Here it is. Now this didn't used to exist. I noticed it yesterday or the day before that, and it seems to have grown, so something is growing here. And I don't believe it is a root because it is very thin and very sharp, quotation marks. Just think about a Phalaenopsis flower spike. When it pierces the leaf, you know it's not a root because it's not thick. It's rather thin and rather sharp. Oh, this is a good angle for it. Do you see that? That's something. Now what exactly it is, I really don't know because it is way too young to flower, I believe. Although if you visit, I think Orchid Web, they do have a picture with quite a juvenile plant flowering. Not the most incredible flower show, but they're flowers nonetheless. However, it's twice as big as the one that I have. So still, I'm not sure if mine is mature enough to bloom. And I am 99.9% sure it's not a root. What else could it be? A keiki? Well, if it's not mature enough to bloom, could it be mature enough to produce a keiki? I don't know. It's just very weird, but very exciting at the same time because you know there are orchids which even if they're seedlings can bloom. Phalaenopsis are one of those. And I did have my Schilleriana at a very young age produce 2 little or 3 little flowers, which you know is enough. Well, I'm hoping this one will do the same, and if it is a flower, then oh boy, I'm gonna do the rain dance once again. P.S. We have a rain dance as well, but this particular orchid is not the only one that makes me want to do the rain dance. Let me show you another one. This orchid right here, I think, is trying to bloom. Now, you wouldn't believe it if I told you, but this is a Cattleya orchid. It looks a little bit like a dendrobium, but it's not. It's a complex intergeneric hybrid. Used to be called Diacattleya Chantilly Lace Twinkle. Now I think it's Cattleya. One of the parents has been reclassified, but we're just gonna stick with the old name. The Chantilly Lace Twinkle, I'm gonna show you a picture on the screen because it's worth it, is again one of those orchids that I've always wanted to have, and again it's a rather rare orchid. It is a peloric orchid, and the form of peloria is one that I really like. The petals are trying to imitate the lip, and luckily enough the lip is really dotted, really nice. It looks like it has a lace. Probably that's why the name as well. So I purchased this one last year in my last and probably really last order at Schroeder because they don't deliver to my country anymore. So it's been about 1.5 years since I have it. I purchased it as a younger plant, not yet mature, but not seedling either. It produced this growth in my care. And then this is the latest growth, which is the most advanced one. And again, I will need to get you in very close to see this. Right here at the top of the cane, we have the tiniest of sheaths, which recently has started to develop. It became more swollen and things started to grow out of it. And these things really look like buds. Being that it is an intergeneric, it's really hard to tell what type of flowering it will have. If you know Cattleyas, you know that some produce sheaths, some do not. Some bloom in dried sheaths, some in green sheaths, some after a year, some have seasons, some don't. It's always a surprise pretty much with the Cattleyas. And trying to guess how each will bloom is not always going to work. But from pictures on the internet, I do see that this particular orchid seems to have a pretty small sheath, very comparable to what I have here. So it might just be that in the very tiny sheath, a stem will start to form, but it's going to be very neat to observe. And if it is indeed a flower spike, this is how it starts. In a very tiny sheath, some sort of little whiskers will start to appear. And hopefully they will turn out to be really beautiful flowers. A bit about culture. This orchid has received the exact same care as my other Cattleyas. She has been residing outside and she's been loving it. This one does produce pretty thick canes, but as the time goes by, they do tend to get these ridges. The orchid is not dehydrated, and also it has quite a decent root system, so I do believe ridges are pretty normal, but the new pseudobulbs are indeed pretty plump. And as I was saying, if this one decides to bloom too, then I'll do the double rain dance. I could use some rain. I'm so over summer. I just want autumn, so doing a rain dance couldn't hurt. Next up, two dendrobiums, which are kind of related. Okay, first one. Do you guys remember this one? Probably not. I received it 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago from one of my viewers. It didn't actually take transport well. It was packed wet and most of the pseudobulbs didn't make it. They rotted. So I had the tiniest little back bulb to start it over again. And I managed to save it. Yay! Okay, so what is this? This is Dendrobium Enobi Purple Splash. I think this is the name. I lost the tag for it, but I'll make it again. Remember, before I moved here, I was telling you that I really wanted to have the Dendrobium Enobi. Well, somebody actually sent it to me. And as I was saying, I had to start it from a back bulb, which I don't think I even have anymore. But this was the very first pseudobulb it created afterwards. Then this one, and then this one. No, this one, and now this one. So finally, it is looking pretty decent. It's still kind of tiny. This dendrobium is a miniature dendrobium. Flowers are pretty tiny but beautiful as well. It's not going to grow very tall, but it's still kind of tiny. It's supposed to be larger than this. And look at him. He's saved. I'm so incredibly happy I managed to save him, but ever since then, there was really no reason to film it because there wasn't much going on. Recently, I did repot him as well. He started to grow some roots, so he's doing great. The Enobi is still around, and if you're still watching my videos, let me know down below in the comments. I still have the orchid you sent me. Thank you so much. I'm so happy that I managed to save it. And next to the Enobi, what is this? This is Dendrobium Cherry Song. You already know this guy, but we never had a proper ID for it. We always call it the Bigibum compactum hybrid or variety. Well, somebody actually identified it for me. Thank you so much for leaving me the comment. It is the Cherry Song. Now, for those of you who are new, I will actually share with you down below a video when I tried to repot this orchid and it didn't end up so well. It's kind of funny. So something to amuse yourselves with. And even though this guy blooms quite often, and I do see some flower spikes forming already, I decided to show him today as well because we got an ID and I wanted to share the ID. So I've been keeping this one outside and he was in Leca. He got so dehydrated and you can see here the older growths are looking pretty horrible. But these are the new growths and they look perfectly fine. And root-wise, oh yeah, I think he's enjoying this. Oh wow, look at that. I repotted him 2 months ago or something and he seems to be enjoying the change. I really want to show you from now on the root system of these orchids because one of the major reasons I am using transparent pots once again is to be able to show root systems. I personally can judge an orchid by how it looks on the surface. I know if it has roots or not, but as a learning tool, seeing the roots is actually very important. And I do all sorts of tutorials and videos that showcase orchids, and if I say this orchid has roots but you'll have to trust me on that because I cannot show you the roots, it's not okay. I want to be able to show you root systems, if it goes bad, if it doesn't go bad, and just yeah, I think it's just better. So I will be making it a point to show root systems, maybe in the What's in Bloom videos or in the update videos as well, because you can actually judge a lot an orchid by its roots. So this has been the Dendrobium Cherry Song. We have a name for it now, and I do see that he has quite a lot of flower spikes starting to develop here. I also do believe that at some point I will remove this part. Do you see what happened here? This is actually a keiki, it's not a new growth. A keiki grew and then the keiki started to develop other growths. So in the end, this entire portion here is just suspended and it barely reaches the medium. So I might remove it completely and pot it next to the mother plant. Next up, here we have some Tolumnias. Finally, I have one that is starting to spike. Now, this is not the entire extent of my Tolumnia collection. I'll show you some footage right now. These 4 are my main Tolumnias. They're, let's say, the most rooted, although one of them I think is not so established as I think it is. But anyway, they are the main Tolumnias that I have, and I have them potted in a net pot with some sphagnum moss. I water them separately. It's a very typical setup that I used to use as well when I used to have my older Tolumnias. However, I also had 2 of them which were not very well established. They were almost rootless. These are actually coming from the order that I made last year at this German seller. It was marketed as Tolumnia Mix. I received 4 of them without any type of ID, and out of 4, only 2 survived. Now, the reason why I don't have these in a net pot with moss is that these guys needed more moisture than the other guys, since they weren't looking so good root-wise. And look at them today. They're actually looking spectacular. And you can see that the roots really, look at that one, are growing pretty nicely here in the pot, and it has been a little easier for me to keep them hydrated. Obviously in pots, I do manage to maintain moisture for longer. So both of them look like they are recouped. This one was the worst. Let's see, do we have roots? We do. It's not bad, considering we didn't have roots. So yeah, they're looking pretty great. So this is how we are with the ones that I purchased from Germany. Only 2 survived, but they're looking okay. I think they're saved. Now, this one is a no ID as well. And as I was saying, finally, if my camera would want to focus, finally we have a flower spike. This is one that I received from Bumblebee in the orchid swap that we did, I think this spring. And it's looking pretty great. So I received 2 Tolumnias from her. One of them, I don't believe it's as well rooted as this one. We can see a bit of roots through the pot, not a whole lot. We can see more at the top here. So I'm really looking forward to see what this one will be. However, I am thinking that when this medium will go bad, and I'm referring to the sphagnum moss, I might consider actually potting them normally, because I do have an easier life with them potted. Growth-wise, they do perform exactly the same. The only difference between them is the frequency of watering. These guys, I water them every 2 days or so, maybe 3 days in the good days, and these guys maybe every 5 days or so. And that's the only difference, and it's a little easier for me, I have to say, so I will have to think about it. There are pros and cons. These ones take more space, these ones hang from my wire shelves. I will have to assess the situation, but yeah, I like both methods and both setups, and one is indeed easier to maintain, but we'll see what to do. Out of all of my Tolumnians, I only have IDs for 2, all the others are no IDs. Next up, the Catasetum orchids, which I will go and film separately because it's very noisy outside right now. Somebody really wanted to see them. Here they are. This is the first year that I've been growing them outside on the terrace. I wanted to see if there is any difference because theoretically they are warm growers, and I think they did okay, but of course, trial and error, I managed to sunburn a few of them, actually 2. The most sunburned is the Monniera Millennium Magic. Sadly, I had to cut some of the leaves because they were scorched. A little bit the Cycnotus Wine Delight on one of the leaves, but it's nothing bad, it's superficial. And overall, I think the best performer is the Fred Clark Chiara, which looks pretty amazing. I am hoping for a flower spike. The size of the pseudobulb really looks like it's gonna bloom, so fingers crossed. The other one's pretty okay. I think I kind of messed a little bit up in the beginning with the location. They were receiving too much sunlight. So just to conserve some space in my grow room, I might try again putting them outside. They did okay, but I don't think I will let the sun touch their leaves anymore. I think they will be in bright shade and that should be enough for them. Otherwise, they did okay. I just think I need to work a little bit on the location. And now for some sad news as well. Here are my two Sedirea japonica, currently reclassified as Phalaenopsis. One of them absolutely didn't make it, and I do believe it was stem rot. This is the one that I purchased from Orchid Garden, and this is the Orchids Deluxe one, the variegated one. This one never did spectacular for me, and slowly and surely it started to lose all of its leaves, and yeah, it's pretty clear it's stem rot. It's not root rot. It didn't start from the roots because roots are actually kind of still okay on the plant. And in cases of stem rot, the roots are actually the last ones to go. First are the leaves. Now, I don't suspect there is anything left alive on the stem, but I'm going to keep it. Sometimes, through some sort of miracle, you will have a little bit of the stem still alive, being able to push out a keiki, but doubtful. I will keep it as long as the roots are still alive on the orchid. See, this is a live root. I will still keep it, but I think it's gone, sadly. I don't even know how it happened because I didn't shower it or anything. But these things happen. The variegated one, on the other hand, is doing much better. It is growing this new leaf now. And root-wise, oh, I just repotted. I don't see anything, but I do see new roots starting to grow right here. I think you can see it right here. So it is doing pretty okay. It doesn't actually look like it wants to do something bad, so that's okay. But definitely I did observe a major difference in behavior between the two orchids. Definitely this one acted more vigorous than this one, which never actually moved much for me. So whether the orchid was just not vigorous, whether it had a previous problem or faced a problem here and couldn't recoup, I don't know. But I do believe this was stem rot, and I don't believe we can have it back. So I will be on the lookout for another Sedirea, the normal variety, not the Myanmaru, the tiny one. And as far as the Myanmaru goes, I'm very tempted to try it outside, try to give it a little chill, because theoretically this is supposed to be a cooler growing orchid. And I did read about other people's experience with giving this orchid a chill down in the winter and having good results in the spring. So I'm considering it. I'm not going to leave it outside all winter long because I'm scared. It can get pretty chilly, but I do want to put it outside pretty soon together with the Phalaenopsis and let it have that gradual cool down. I will leave it out a little bit more than the Phalaenopsis because those ones are rather warm growing. But yeah, I want to see if I can manage to induce a flower spike in the spring. And to end the video, another kind of bad news. The Nelly Eiler! The pseudobulb has rotted. The old pseudobulb looks green, the new growth looks okay, but the middle pseudobulb and the most important one is rotting, and there's nothing I can do about it. This is the risk when you buy Miltoniopsis and Nelly Eilers, which only come with one pseudobulb or two pseudobulbs. If something happens to the main pseudobulb, you cannot save the orchid because the new growth will be affected. It will not live in the state it's in. It actually stopped growing maybe a month ago, and that's when this pseudobulb started to become a little weird looking. And from the back bulb, you can actually try to propagate it, but the thing is with Miltoniopsis and Nelly Eiler, propagation through back bulbs usually isn't successful. They're not as vigorous as other Oncidiums or Oncidium hybrids. These particular hybrids, or intergenerics in the case of the Nelly Eiler, are just not vigorous. And it was a shame because the roots were okay on it. It was the first time that I managed to properly root this orchid. And this has to happen. Now, rotting pseudobulbs doesn't really happen very often, but it does happen more often than you'd think. And I do actually have videos on how to go about it. I'll link it down below. But see, the only difference between those orchids and this one is that those ones had multiple pseudobulbs. With this one, what am I gonna do? Just twist it, remove the new growth together with it because they're connected, and just let the back bulb be? I could do that. I'm gonna try to do that, but I'm pretty sure that I won't succeed. And it's a pity because we just had it in bloom. Okay, let's not make this super sad. As it just so happens, today I went to the flower shop because I needed a new phalaenopsis. Yeah, when do I need a new phalaenopsis? When I make repot me videos and tutorials, and for my next video, which will be this Friday, I needed a brand new phalaenopsis, so I had to purchase one. So I went to the flower shop, and behold, I found a Nelly Eiler, and not only, I'll show you. And it's a bit over its time, or over its prime. Apparently, they started to bring intergenerics again because, hello, autumn, I need to go to flower shops more often, yet again. They didn't have much left, and this one was actually not purchased because it has a broken flower spike. Right here, it's broken. You can see the flowers are wilting, but that works out great in my favor because I want to remove the flower spike anyway and repot the orchid. The best thing, though, is that this one has quite a few pseudobulbs. It does have quite a few flower spikes as well, but I'm so happy about the pseudobulbs and new growth because even if one goes bad, I have a lot more to work with. So this is a rare case. Finding a Nelly Eiler like this is rare, but yeah, very, very awesome coincidence. I can work with this. So pretty sad about my Nelly Eiler because yeah, as I was saying, we had her in bloom when, a month ago or 2 months ago. But luckily enough, I found a replacement, and this one does have pseudobulbs. It's not the only one that I found at the flower shop. Of course, I found a phalaenopsis, but you'll see it on Friday. There's another intergeneric that I need an ID for. Ta-da! Again, this is another leftover because one of the flower spikes is going away, but I do have one of the spikes looking nice. So let me give you a close-up of the flowers. I was thinking maybe it's an Alisara, maybe the Marfit's Howard Dream. No, it's not. It has pretty tiny flowers, and I don't think this is an Alisara. Maybe it's a Wilsonara. I'm not sure exactly. It doesn't seem to smell spicy, so maybe not an Alisara. And also, the pseudobulb, here it is. This is how it looks like. This one you can see, we don't have many pseudobulbs, but we're gonna work with what we have. And the flower is super, super, super cute. So being that I just purchased it, I didn't really have a chance to look around. It looks a little bit like the Calico gem, but I don't think it is. I had that one and it didn't really look like this. So if you have any idea, do let me know in a comment down below and I'll Google it and see if something fits. These were the only 2 Cambrias that I kind of had left. There was another one, but it didn't have flowers anymore, so I'm not sure what that one was. So from now on, I need to go do the rounds at the flower shops because they're starting to bring stuff apparently, and I'm already missed out on some stuff. It's okay, I have enough orchids anyway. But I'm happy that I found that Nelly Eiler, really happy. And hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll have better luck with that one. Alrighty then, so that's about it for today. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Hope you enjoyed this. If you have other orchids you'd like to see, leave me a comment down below. And you know the drill, like or dislike this video below, subscribe to my channel for regular orchid videos, tutorials, Q&As, and other fun orchid subjects. And if you'd like to support the channel, do consider visiting the merch store down below. And with that said, I'll see you guys next time. Bye!